behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has convicted, suspended the Chicago certificate story. It's never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting her friend with her husband, knowing that.
You should not feel happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Marianne Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
6 minutes gone past the 5 o'clock hour. It's still the nation's number one talk news and sports radio station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're broadcasting live from the audio-visual studios right here in Itimi and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. I'm Marianne Okon, welcoming you to Hard Facts. And today on the Big Hard Facts, we're talking fact-checking and social media side by side. Of course, we know that everyone on social media now is a journalist of sorts. Everyone wants to break stories. Everyone wants to trend. But what is the truth versus, what we're sensationalizing or something that we thought was the truth? And don't forget, President Donald Trump is one of those guys who has promoted a post-truth era, with, what is alternative facts. But we're here today to talk about that and the fact that Meta, just before the inauguration of Donald Trump, decided to toe the line of X. And one's wondering how we're able to draw the line between fact-checking and, just community chit-chat and beer parlor discussions. My guest is joining me live from the United Kingdom. It's so good to have him join us. Some people say he's a tech guru. Some people say, hey, this guy knows everything about socials. When you want to talk about social media and, all the tech things, he's the right guy to talk to. Well, he's joining us live on Zoom. I'd like to introduce him. Oyinlola Israel is the founder, African AI Foundation, and of course, Stellar AI Labs. Oyinlola, it's so good to have you join us. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Thank you.
Let's start by let's talk about why fact-checking is very important before we go into what Mark Zuckerberg has done and what's been happening on Twitter. Before Donald Trump became president, fact-checking was top on the list of, making sure that you streamline to get the facts and proof for whatever it is that you were doing, whether it be medicine, whether it be for journalism, whatever it is, science, etc., etc. But then came Donald Trump, and anything goes, and anything went. And then he's back again. Just before he came in, Mark Zuckerberg decided that, okay, we're just going to take out... I'll let you get to that. But first, why is fact-checking important?
Thanks, Marianne. It's a very important question. You made mention of a very important point where when you said everybody's not a journalist. That's the power of the social media. Everybody wants to have a voice. Everybody wants to say something. And while that is a good thing, the downside of that is that not everyone is intellectual enough or has the authority to have an opinion about some things. But because of social media, everybody's able to, have their own viewpoint. So fact-checking is a way to counterbalance the effect of misinformation that arises from people without authority, people without enough knowledge, making an opinion about something, right? This happened a lot during COVID, when people would be, you have various information, some people would say using chloroquine is sufficient to combat the virus. Some people, some of these people even have medical licenses, but they just don't have the prerequisite knowledge to be able to, to command authority on the actual subject matter. But you had a lot of information going around, some people would say, drinking different substances, could actually combat COVID-19, right? So now fact-checking is a structure put in place to now regulate and put structure in place and take out all of those misinformation on social media, so that it's just not, okay, Wild West, everybody just says whatever they want, because they can, right? So that is the the importance of fact checking is really to be able to, take out misinformation on social media.
So let's go to social media. There's a lot of misinformation. Sometimes I shudder at the things that I see, and how, especially Facebook, unfortunately, I tweeted some days ago that Facebook is becoming a very scary place where, for those of us who are on Twitter and Instagram, you see something and you're like, what is the meaning of this? This is fake now. And, but because Facebook is what it is, anything goes. And you see all kinds of comments and people realistically think that these things are true. And then with Mark Zuckerberg taking this U-turn of sorts, taking out, what we call fact checkers to bring some, what he calls community notes. Can you explain to us, as someone who's an expert, the difference between these two things and what impact it would make on the psychic or the average person who's, coming through social media?
Good point. I would like to make a quick distinction between the two types of, two methods of combating misinformation. These two companies have approached it differently over the years. Facebook was using fact checkers. So fact checkers are some sort of hand-picked experts on some topic areas, and they've been selected because probably they've published a lot of journals, a lot of research papers, a lot of articles, a lot of so they are established resource persons when it comes to those subject matter. Mm-hmm. And the problem with that is that you have about how many billion? About 3 billion people using Facebook. If every single person publishes fake information, one in a day, you need to have billions of fact checkers to be able to evaluate and then take down all of those information as incorrect. Right? The problem with the fact checking system is that it cannot scale. And that, piggybacks to the point he made that, Facebook is just like, you see a lot of, all sorts, you see all sorts because, those fact checkers are human beings that are unable to, you can hire billions of them, right? There's a limit to, you can get to when you create a group of fact checkers. And also, fact checkers are centralized systems. They have their own portal. They log into Facebook just like you log into the Facebook. So they have their own portal at the back end of Facebook where they see all those information, and then they can evaluate, is it true or not. If a lot of fact checkers say that that information is not true, Facebook or algorithm will take down that information so that people will not be able to see it any longer. So it's a centralized system. And what people were seeing over the past few months, especially when it comes when the information is politically charged or charged in a certain way that doesn't sit well with a fact checker, you will now see the bias of the fact checker coming out through the way they are fact checking the information. So their personal bias was leaking to the way they behave, and how they were acting with the fact checking process.
Sorry, can I just come in there quickly?
That is another.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to talk over you. Could an example of what you're talking about in terms of biases be with the whole Israel-Palestinian war, sort of, where there are certain people who support Palestine and there's certain fact checkers who support Israel? Could that be a very good example?
Perfect. That's it. That's a very excellent example, right? So you would see an actual information, a precise information that is happening, but because this person is an expert, this person is knowledgeable, but we all have our biases based on our background, based on our affiliation, so cultural affiliations and all of those things. We have those things, and we cannot, remove ourselves from them. Those biases influences how some of those fact checkers act on the fact checking portal when they are fact checking information, right? And on the other side, the community note system is the fact checking system is centralized, being that they've identified experts that can log in, they know the subject matter, and then they know the information to send to them to fact check, right? So it's centralized. Not anybody can can, fact check. But community note is decentralized, right? So community note, when you see an information and you see that it is incorrect, you as a social media user can flag that information and provide the counter, a rebuttal. Maybe a journalist, you can quote a journalist. You can quote a journalist, you can quote any information source, maybe a Wikipedia, or to show that, okay, this information is incorrect, right? And when a lot of people come to that community note that you've made and rate it, that's when it shows up. So it doesn't show up until people agree that, yes, your rebuttal or your community note that you've created is actually correct, right? So that's when you see it. So you see, a lot of influential people have made a lot of incorrect statements. Of course, you see different things politically, and some political comments that someone will have to say, okay, this is actually what happened. This is this happened to, I think, Washington Post at some point last year, when their view of a particular subject changed. So the community notes person pointed out, you guys actually posted this article 2 years ago. Probably they forgot or something, right? So it is decentralized. It is decentralized, and it has a way of using the the public force, the public knowledge, to be able to sort of like blockchain. Think of blockchain. When you think of community notes, think of the central banks when you think of fact checking, right? So the central bank is central, is centralized, is central, right? The governing of the system, of the banking system, has to be from one point. If there's any fine, if there's any regulation, it has to be from that point. That is fact checking. For blockchain, there are decentralized nodes. And now there's a consensus. There's a consensus method. So it's that consensus method that is only technology related in community nodes, right? So they both have their problems. They both have their upsides and downsides, right? The upside of fact checking is that, yes, people that in certain scenarios it works excellently, because the people that are fact checking are experts. But in certain scenarios, they cannot scale, because there are a lot of information for them to fact check that they cannot even if they want to do it, it's it will take their whole life, right? And also their biases get into it. The upside of the community note is that it is decentralized. Anybody can community note any information, and there's a consensus algorithm that now evaluates whether the community note is correct, right? And the downside to that is just mostly that you can have so many competing notes. There are posts that have like two different notes, because viewpoints again,
exactly,
right?
So if I'm able to get more people who say, hey, America is world power, America can crush the whole world, I mean, that note now becomes fact, because I have more people who are saying, yes, thumbs up, yes, yes. And then there's someone else who's saying, yeah, America can be a world power, but is not the world power, and has lesser votes. So this is obviously giving room for alternative facts, which might not necessarily be true. So where are we headed?
Very, very, very interesting question. Yeah. So what some implementation of community note that I've seen does is to make sure that you quote. You can quote an authority. You can quote maybe a United Nations article for your kind of information. America is a world power. You need to be able to quote maybe a Wikipedia. You need to be able to quote United Nations. You need to be able to quote, maybe what's it called now? Any public, information. Put a link that suggests that, okay, what you're saying is the correct one, so that it's just not that you are saying it off your head, right? You should be able to put a public information that is verifiable, usually a link. But that still doesn't eliminate the chance that what you said is possible. But in a to be frank with you, I really think the upside of community notes can outweigh the downside if it is implemented correctly. If implemented correctly, where the consensus algorithm is public. So, for example, X published all their data, so you can see all the data. It's not hidden. The method of calculating consensus, the method of rating notes, the method of all of those algorithms and data are public information on GitHub. Yeah, it can be reviewed, right? People are saying that, okay, what if the one they are actually using is different from the one they published? There's a case that's not. It's not impossible. That's possible, right? But they claim to be using the public algorithm that is on GitHub, right?
Again, what about links? What about fake links? Because people, with the advent of AI and all sorts of things, people can go the extra mile to put out alternative facts. And I can create a fake link and say, according to the United Nations, and then many people will just go and click on it and say yes, but it isn't really an authentic link. Can community notes see beyond that, see through that facade? Because, like I said, on social media, especially Facebook, there are lots of things that appear to be real but are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So the community notes idea is on the thesis that anything that is false, when shown under the light, will reveal itself. Right? So such that if enough people, you could 2-3 people could lie to themselves, but maybe not 10,000, maybe not 1 million people. Do you get? That is the thesis. I'm not, that is the theory that if enough people, fight and, sort of like a tug of war on an idea, the true core idea will emerge. That is the theory of community notes, right? So let people have that opportunity to be able to have that tug of war and debate that idea such that the core truth, the pure truth of that idea, emerge. It is not impossible that someone creates a fake link with AI or fake video with AI, but the theory is that by the time, maybe 500,000 people review that, they will be able to call that out, like, okay, this is not an authentic source. You should be able to quote Wikipedia, or you should be able to quote, Britannica, or you should be able to quote United Nations, or quote United States government, or quote, those are authentic sources of information, not just, a random. So that philosophy that yes, someone can create fake information and use it as a community note to back a community note is possible, but the idea is that by the time maybe 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1 million people go through that idea, evaluate it, they would be able to call out the flags, downrate the community notes, essentially punishing so community notes also punishes the creator of that note, right? So also imagine what this can get to. Now all these social networks are paying creators. Now part of the money that is being paid to creators can now be paid to the community notes folks.
Okay, hold that thought.
This money.
Hold that thought. We're gonna go on a quick break. Hold that thought. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk more about that payment because some of us are living off the payments on social media. We'll be right back after this break.
More talk, news and sports after this.
Hello, excuse me. This Milo pack looks different. I'm seeing support energy release, bam, on the pack. Is it the same Milo?
No, this one is new and improved. The supports energy release means when you give your kids Milo as part of breakfast, you are giving them energy they need to go to school.
Ah, I like this one.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo! My father taught me that there are two kinds of people: those who try to survive and those who thrive. Those who stare at the angry bull from a distance and those who take it by the horn. Those who love to admire, fantasize from afar, and those who see, like, and make it theirs. We see this a lot at Foreshore Waters. So, which are you? Person who will just admire the idea of a fully built 2-bed apartment in Ikeja GRA, but go home empty-handed, or the winner who will pay the affordable price to own one. Like many of our customers at Foreshore Waters, you could either resell for profit in a few years or earn annual rental income of up to 10 million naira.
Own a 4-bedroom luxury maisonette in Ikeja GRA at 89.99 million naira initial deposit and spread the balance over 12 months.
Terms and conditions apply. Call 0700 666 688 today or visit fwl.ng or our office at 27 Banana Island Road, Ikoyi, Lagos.
Who says you can't have it all with one play?
I got that defined point. You have just won yourself.
Congratulations.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Melitus. One player, don't talk to 2 players because you won 20K.
So now you won yourself 20,000 naira.
My name is Well Done.
Okay, well done. You want to tell you, well done. You won yourself 20,000 naira.
With 500 naira, you can play to win big. From 120,000 naira to 190,000 naira daily on Nigeria Info. Go to oneplay.ng and play with 500 naira. And in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. Or dial *347 *880 *3 hash. Win daily on Nigeria Info. 50,000 naira on Morning Crossfire. 60,000 naira on WhatsApp Lagos. 20,000 naira on Sunnyside. And 60,000 naira on Game On. So Lagos, what are you waiting for? The more you play, the better your chances of winning. Remember to dial *347 *880 *3 hash. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18.
Anything I want. Mama, they don't dash me 20,000 naira.
My pikin, who they dash 20,000 naira for this kind time?
That they dash everybody will get smart cash account 20,000 naira.
You mean them go dash me 20,000 naira a wolf too?
Yes, so mama. Hey. That they dash all old and new smart cash users 20,000 naira a wolf.
Oh yeah, tell your yard people make them dial *939 hash or download smart cash app to open their own account. Make them self-enjoy 20k a wolf. Every time when you buy airtime or pay bills with smart cash, you go chop inside your 20k. Terms and conditions they shall.
I don't see my own wolf. Oh.
Smart cash powered by Airtel.
Meals have a way of taking us on a journey. And when you add plenty of vegetables like efo, ugu, and season with the rich taste of North seasoning cubes, even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
When you have bars in the sky, onboard showers, and award-winning in-flight entertainment, it's no surprise that Emirates was recently named the best airline in the world. We fly you to over 140 destinations, and with partners across the globe, we connect you to another 1,700 cities across 6 continents. So when we say we're also the largest international airline, what we really mean is, if you're going there, so are we. Book now on Emirates.com. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Did you miss out on the I Beg to Differ online auditions? This is another opportunity to make history. On Saturday, January the 25th, the I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Audition comes to life at the Nigeria Info Studio, 267A Etim Ian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. Yes, I Beg to Differ Secondary School Debate Auditions hosts the very first outdoor auditions at our studio, right here in Victoria Island on Saturday, January 25th, time 8 a.m. This in-person audition is for secondary school students who missed the deadline of our online entry. If you've already entered the competition online, you don't have to come for the live audition. To register, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm to pick a topic for your live auditions. Click on the I Beg to Differ banner on the homepage. Carefully read the guidelines and choose a topic. Remember the date, Saturday, January 25th, time 8 a.m. Venue is Nigeria Info Studios 267A, Etim Ian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. The debate of your life begins here. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
E gets to come moment for this life where you and your honorables no fit forget lie. Now na your time to show the world this moment. Oh, if you get them for picture, post them on top social media. Use the hashtag honorable moment. Don't forget to tag your honorables too. Make the world see, make the world know say you get honorable people for your corner. Terms and conditions apply. Honorable, brewed with honor.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Marian Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're talking about fact-checking and social media. And, of course, what to do in a post-truth era. My guest, Oyinlola Israel, is an expert in this area. And he's been talking to us about, especially for those of us who are on Facebook, you know. I had told my dad and my mom, when my mom was alive, I'd say, if you see any message that's forwarded to you on Facebook or on WhatsApp, send it to me. I'm your verifier. I will verify it. Before you post it, before you share it. So my dad does it. He will always send me, if you see something on Facebook, he will screenshot it and send it to me and say, is it real? Are you sure? Which is okay, but not everybody has me as their child or their friend or their family member. So fact checking is very important. Now, let's talk about, you made mention, before I open up the phone lines, because I know people are itching to talk about this. There are many people who make monies, like you said, the digital creators. I recently just realized that my money was going. I don't know, they kept sending me messages on Instagram that my payment, and I was like, what payments? What? So I had to set up an account, obviously, so that I could get something for my reels, I guess. And I got wind of it pretty late. But there are people who are making money off it. Who's to say that they can't also be paid to push fake, false news? Although you're saying that most of these people, monies that they should be giving to them would be given to the guys who are in the community notes section. Explain to us how that would work.
Yeah. So again, this is us discussing how a community note can be properly implemented, where incentives would be properly aligned. If someone gets $1,000 of payment every month by posting information that other people have come to trust and confirm to be accurate, but because he is community noted, at one point, he now loses all of that payment. That way, the incentive is aligned and designed to ensure that, participants in the community are incentivized to post, not to want to be community noted, right? And also, you want to make sure that the person that is even community noting wants to earn that reward of, being rated. Because of course, community notes don't just show up, right? They must have been rated as, accurate by a lot of people before it shows up. So when, someone is, submitting a note, a community note, and it is rated, the incentive to do that, because now, as against fact check that is centralized, just a few folks. Now we have, millions of people looking for wrong information online, hunting for wrong information to actually correct. That's what happens, right? They're sourcing for wrong, scouting the whole social media, hunting for wrong information so that they can earn the reward of submitting the first correction. So that is how to align their incentive and how to also protect the incentive of the person submitting the community notes is to ensure that if they submit a wrong note that is confirmed maybe, sometimes the team within Facebook or X will have to take a look by themselves to see what is actually going on. If it gets to that and they realize that the person submitting the committee note has actually violated some of their, rules and principle, they can now even be banned or be, put in, they call something shadow ban. Shadow ban is that, whatever you do, nobody will see it. You will still be there. You'll be able to use the platform, whatever you do, nobody will see it, right? Or there are a lot of other means that social media companies, some technologies that they've put in place to be able to, regulate and control all of those things. But point I'm just trying to make is that if properly implemented, community notes should be the future of how misinformation is curbed, because of the fact that it can scale, and because of the fact that incentives can be properly designed, incentives can be properly aligned. That money that is being paid is paid by an advertiser. Someone is advertising on the thread that someone has posted misinformation on. A company that is advertising there would not want to relate their brand with misinformation.
Yes.
So it is correct. Yes. So it is correct to punish the poster of that misinformation and reward the individual correcting that misinformation. Now, if it is now found that the person that was supposed to correct that misinformation is also malicious, it is now, in fact, the punishment for that person is even greater. Should be much more greater than what was for the original poster. So it's a more scalable way of actually curbing misinformation that can really scale, that can get to millions. If you look at,
I like how you said that if properly implemented, the operating word there being if, which is probability. And there are those who are also concerned that these billionaires, whether it's Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, are kowtowing to Donald Trump. Who's to say that it will be properly implemented? Just, you're not supposed to know this, but I'm just saying, who's to say?
Yeah, that's a valid concern, especially with Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg has been saying changing, his philosophy and his, political alignment. It's just like is with whoever is in power. If it's the Democrats, it's with them. If it's Republican, it's with them. So whoever is in power is their friend. So it does whatever it is that it believes will make them happy, right? So it has that particular, trust element that it needs to, clear off. At least let him do things that will make people trust him more, and have more long-term stable standpoints on issues and matters, such that it's not changing every 4 years or changing every 8 years, like he's currently doing. So the possibility of that happening is a non-zero probability that's going on, but versus Elon Musk's viewpoint has quite been stable, over the past X number of years. I can't recall, but he doesn't change. He's a very stubborn guy. He puts his money where his mouth is. Right, and he does whatever he thinks will help him to be able to get his own idea of how things should work out there in the world, right? So he might have spent a lot of money to put in Donald Trump, all those political detail. Maybe that's not really for this topic, but yes, there's a non-zero chance that these billionaires, they have a lot to gain, by aligning with the power in force, right? And we can't rule that out, that's not what's going on.
Finally, before I open up the phone lines, what does that leave us journalists? Because now it looks like we have our job cut out for us, so we probably have to keep every single day of our lives comb through social media to try to correct some disinformation, because it's going to be out there every other day, especially If, for example, there's a lot of propaganda even in Nigeria today. If I'm in support of this person, I'll put out as much propaganda as possible, overbloat it just to make the person look good, even though that's not the fact that's on the ground. So do we have our job cut out for us? I mean, those of us who are properly informed and have the facts.
Yeah, very, very good point. I think the role of, journalists in the world today is still very clear, and they still have a very massive role to play. There are a lot of things that community notes would not be able to solve, right? Journalists can walk into State House. A random Joe cannot do that, right? Community journalists have access to, a lot of business executives that a random person on the street do not have access to. So presenting all those information and all those facts to the world in a factual way is what we, there was this post by Jeff Bezos. Jeff called out his company. He owns Washington Post. I'm not sure if I'm correct. He owns Washington Post, right? Yeah, he owns Amazon, but he bought Washington Post
recently.
Yeah, he owns a news outlet. Yeah, he owns a news outlet as well in maybe New York Post, either New York Post or Washington Post.
I don't think he owns Washington Post. Maybe New York Post. Maybe New York Post.
Okay, maybe New York Post. Yeah, I would have to verify that. During the before the December election in the United States, they called out the company that he owns, and it was like, I shouldn't be doing this because of the fact that I have interest in this company. But, people in the United States have lost trust in, the American journalists because of a lot of journalists have let their political affiliations to kind of like influence the way they report. Journalists are supposed to report the facts. Literally, I read a post. I was like, no, this is. I mean, for the fact that you own this company, you should actually, be merciful to these guys. These are your employees.
Yeah.
I read it. I was like, okay, this is an interesting turn. But I think journalists need to, show themselves as the authority, as the force to actually be, responsible for aligning the misinformation and make sure that the world journeys itself back into the truth era, right? And how that can be done is really by posting facts, creating content that are facts. I may support A, but how do I actually get to the point, strength of character, where if anything is happening about A that doesn't support, the fact that I like A, I support A, but I should be able to post the facts, So that is where, that's really where just we need to get to, right? People get to trust them more. People get to, So I really think that's really where we need to get to, and I think it's actually based on the access that they have that the community folks don't have. It gives a lot of opportunity for how truth telling and how the world will work in the future. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see how things begin to unravel. 0201-277-0993, that's the number to call. We're talking about fact checking in a post-truth era, and of course the role that social media plays in it. 0201-277-0993. You could join the conversation if you're a lady on 0201-465-7190. The phone lines are open. On WhatsApp, it's 08095975805. We're live on YouTube and Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We'd like to hear from you. 60 seconds is all you have. What are your thoughts? Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Miriam.
Yes, good evening, Mrs. Aboli.
Good evening, beautiful soul. Thank you. God bless you. So, my question to your guest, good evening to your guest as well. I think media houses or stations may not really toe his line of thought, because in a bid to be the first to break the news, they may have, put out something out there before they start considering fact checking. That's one. Two, now, a case study of Trump and probably a host of our other politicians back here, since they are not prosecuted, or I don't know if it's possible to prosecute them for misinformation, knowing that misinformation is just a hypothesis and not a thesis. So if we don't prosecute them, how then do we nip this in the bud? Because most times you just hear them giving bogus or humongous things that are not true. They are just assertions. They are just fallacies. How do you put them in the bud, or how do you nip whatever they are saying in the bud? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me quickly answer the first part. Whether we break the news first or not, we will not break stories for the sake of breaking stories. We fact check before we put it out. That's why you have traditional media. Have there been cases where people have rushed to put out a story when they did not fact check? Maybe once in a while that happens, but it is our duty to make sure that whatever we're reporting is truth and is valid. That's why there's traditional media. Now, we see people rushing to put stories on social media. That's because social media now, everybody wants to be a reporter. But I just wanted to put it out there. No media house that knows its job will rush to put out a story as opposed to fact checking it first to know how true it is, how valid it is, and how timely it is. I just wanted to put that out there. But Oyinlola, you can go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know. Maybe I didn't get the audio. The audio didn't come through clearly.
Okay.
Could you help me refresh?
So she was
asking.
She was asking about if prosecution can work for especially politicians who are always out there putting out bogus figures, overstating things that they've done, even when in actuality there's nothing to show for it. She says maybe if prosecution is done, that way we can reduce the propaganda from their end.
Oh, I see. Okay. Prosecution. I'm not sure that would that's too big a control measure to solve that. I think what you said, fact checking, traditional media and fact checking, is an excellent method of actually copying that. Really, but the social media is where all this community notes and online fact checking method really flies, and that's really what we focused on.
Yeah.
But yeah, your answer was great to that question. Traditional media publishing all these contents about politicians mentioning bogus figures and propaganda, fact checking them can curb the likelihood of that happening.
All right. Let's take another call. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Robert.
Go ahead, Robert.
Let me refer your guest to Okoma incident.
Huh?
That Okoma in Delta State.
Okay.
That were killed. They barred journalists from entering that place. So how was the news spread out and journalists fact check what happened in that place? That is it was on the daily when you TV everywhere. How were the journalists able to fact check what happened there? That's my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Robert. These questions are obviously for me, not for him, because he's a tech guy. I'm the journalist. So there was a situation in Nigeria where soldiers were killed in a certain part of Delta State, and at some point nobody was allowed entrance into the community, not even journalists. So nobody could tell exactly what was happening. We were only relying on what the army had to say. But then, of course, the army were on the receiving end, and you know what it is. They always go for reprisals once one of their own is killed. And so he's saying, how would the media be able to fact check if they don't even have any information? And so what I would say as a journalist is that until we have a clear picture of what happened in Okoma, there's no truth telling about that situation. And we can't also base our reportage on what just the army told us, because the people in those communities have to tell their own side of the story for balance to appear. So until we get their side of the story, it's a one-sided story as far as we're concerned. Except you want to add something.
Fact. And also, I mean, this kind of situation, very interesting, perhaps if the traditional media makes it clear that okay, this is the true state of things, we don't have access to verify the the side of story we're getting, right, and just making it out to the public in a clear time, I think that can establish trust. The reason why all these things exist is just to establish trust, right? And then when trust is established between the public and the traditional media, there would be a stronger community. Just painting the picture as it is would help, I believe.
Yeah. Let's just take one more call. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Tony calling from Egbeda.
Go ahead.
There are some journalists who are against the truth, like Al Jazeera. They are against Israel. Speaking evil
I'm sorry.
Israel. You don't know that. What do you think about that?
No.
I know you will not like it because you yourself, you are a Muslim.
No.
Thank you.
You see, you don't even know what you're saying. He says I'm a Muslim. Are you sure that I'm a Muslim? So it's weird, and these are the things that we're saying. So someone calls the radio station and calls me Muslim and says Al Jazeera is not factual. That's also very biased because that's where they see it from. That's their prism. But Al Jazeera, the truth is that most of these international media houses do have it. Sometimes it's very obvious. I'm guessing that the reason why the likes of Al Jazeera would be, reporting from their angle is because they're underreported. The West reports what they want to report, how they see it, and that's the likes of the BBC and the CNNs of this world and Sky News. And so, of course, the Middle East brings up its own media houses so that they can tell their own stories from their perspective. Detail for Nigeria Info and several other media houses in Africa telling African stories and Nigerian stories. But of course, the truth is that everyone cannot agree on these issues. But I don't think that, there are rogue media houses that are online that, take, for example, Radio Biafra at the time, coming up with propaganda of all sorts. And, now that's different. That's not traditional media.
Yeah.
But
are they still airing? Are they still there?
Oh, no. I don't think they I don't think if they air, they're not on the bandwidth. They're not in the Nigerian space because I remember at the time we did everything in our powers to shut them down. But in closing, I have to let you go because I have just 30 seconds. For the average social media user, what should they watch out for? In closing, Oyinlola.
Well, I think I'll just say that average social media users should fact check the information that they themselves want to put out. Information that you want to put out to the world on social media because it can really go viral, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure that it is an information that you have direct source to knowing whether it's true or not, right? Okay. At least make sure that it is true. And also, if you find yourself putting out, wrong information, it shouldn't happen often. But if you find yourself doing that, at least, make sure that you are able to address that real quick. If you don't, correct it, right? Okay. And also, I think
I'm so sorry.
I think the whole community.
We have to go. Our time is fast spent. Oyinlola. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. Time is never our friend. Oyinlola Israel is the founder, African AI Foundation and Stellar AI Labs. Thank you so much for coming on the show and having this conversation with us. We really appreciate you.
Pleasure, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, Lagos, we have some information for you, and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes.
Lagos, introducing the essence of true authenticity in fragrance, Wazobia perfume, the correct scent. It's a unique blend that captivates the authentic spirit of Nigeria, and it's now available in both perfume and body spray. And guess what? It's unisex. It's designed for everyone, so it's perfect for both men and women. Its rich and versatile aroma is a statement of inclusivity and unity, so you can unleash your confidence with every spray. If you're a retailer or you love to buy in bulk, then we've got you covered, okay? Not to worry. Wazobia perfume comes in cartons of 24 bottles, and the body spray is available in cartons of 48. If you're interested in making Wazobia perfume a part of your collection or store, you can make carton purchases, okay? Just send a message to contact@wazobiacosmetics.ng. That is contact@wazobiacosmetics.ng, or call 0201 33 000.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's